Hello? Okay. Good morning. Welcome to our the New Jersey Coalition Against Human Trafficking annual meeting 2019. I'd like to introduce you to Sarah Kuykendall. She is the Assistant Director at the Holocaust Research Center. And on behalf of the coalition, we'd like to thank you for hosting us here at the Human Rights Institute at Kean University. Sarah.
Thank you for the introduction. Good morning. Oh. Can everyone hear me? Oh, there we go. On behalf of the Human Rights Institute and Kean University, it is my pleasure to introduce you here today. My name is Sarah Kuykendall, and I am the Managing Assistant Director of the Holocaust Resource Center and Diversity Council on Global Education and Citizenship, as well as a proud alumna of Kean. Founded in 1982, the Holocaust Resource Center is a center of excellence, fulfilling their educational mandate through collections, commemorative events, and teacher training. In 2008, the Human Rights Institute was established to promote awareness of human rights issues around the world and to engage the next generation of activists to be active participants in civil society. We are pleased to be connected to NJCAHT through their mission to unite New Jersey communities in abolishing human trafficking. We congratulate them on their recent recognition for their contribution to ending modern slavery and their educational efforts. The HRC and HRI look forward to partnering with NJCAHT in future programming. I would like to thank President Farahi of Kean University and Felice Vasquez for their continued support of the Holocaust Resource Center and Human Rights Institute. I would like to thank Kate Lee and the rest of NJCAHT for coordinating this event here today at our university. It is my pleasure to welcome our special and honored guests for being here with us as well. Thank you for all in attendance and welcome to Kean.
Thank you, Sarah. I'd like to welcome all of the attendees that are streaming in virtually. Welcome to our annual meeting. Before we begin, I'd like to say we sadly remember one of our founding members, Joy Buckfire, who passed away last week. May her memory be for a blessing. Dr. Martin Luther King said, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, history will have to record the greatest tragedy of this period of social transition was not the strident clamor of the bad people, but the appalling silence of the good people. When historians write the history of the 21st century, what will they include? Will they record that the beginning of this century witnessed one of the gravest violations of human rights? Will they mention that there are more slaves on planet Earth today than ever before? Or will historians remain silent on the issue of modern-day slavery? Could the same be said of the appalling silence of the good people in our world as in Dr. King's? As a coalition, we dedicate countless hours of volunteerism to unite communities throughout the state of New Jersey to abolish modern-day slavery. We play a part in the revived spirit of the 19th century abolitionist movement as we join with other abolitionists throughout our country and around the world to ensure the freedom and liberty of every man, woman, and child. In less than 10 years, the New Jersey Coalition Against Human Trafficking has united communities to support survivor services, raise public awareness, and educate teachers and students. Together, as a 170-plus member organization, this coalition is making history right here in New Jersey. To ensure that historians will record the determined and valiant effort of brave abolitionists, we have started the conversation where it does not exist. We have placed soap in hotel rooms promoting the human trafficking hotline. We have used the power of education to ensure that young people are aware of the risk factors and the warning signs. We advocate and support powerful legislation to inspire reform. We amplify student and survivor voices. We work to ensure that victims are restored, and we are determined to witness that justice be served by traffickers and predators. I will now share with you some of the innovative solutions that the New Jersey Coalition of Human Trafficking has implemented over the past year to influence change here in New Jersey. Our work is dedicated to supporting and lifting up survivors of human trafficking. For more than a year, we have collaborated with a survivor consultant, Gina Cavallo. Thank you for your courage to speak your message of hope. You are truly an inspiration, and your light shines bright, illuminating those who you come in contact with. Additionally, our annual gift card drive raised thousands of dollars to support survivors all over the state. Our healthcare committee held a symposium focused on the link between adverse childhood experiences and human trafficking. Following the symposium, 27 attendees participated in a Train the Trainer. Another Train the Trainer will be held this fall. The committee continues to develop an online living statewide directory. Finally, the committee is collaborating with Rutgers Behavioral to incorporate human trafficking into all of their healthcare and medical field curriculum. On May 4th, at the Monmouth County Sheriff's Office, the coalition undertook its 10th SOAP outreach in collaboration with Save Our Adolescents from Prostitution founder and survivor Teresa Flores. Between Teresa and the coalition, we have now trained over 800 volunteers since 2014 on the signs of human trafficking and how to approach hotels and motels to educate them about missing children. We have now reached over 800 hotels and motels in New Jersey and distributed over 70,000 bars of soap labeled with the human trafficking hotline. Our Speakers Bureau has provided speakers for over 36 events from July of 2018 until May of 2019. The total audience and count was 1,541 participants, which included middle school and high school students, healthcare professionals, faith-based groups, and a number of various community groups. We are developing a subcommittee to expand the Speakers Bureau for active outreach, tabling at professional and community events. Our Traffic Slam is an incredibly inspiring example of poetry and music and dance as a way to use human expression as an avenue to raise awareness about human trafficking. We want to thank all those who contributed. The funds that were raised there are going to expand programs into next year. And thank you to all of our volunteers at our Traffic Slam. It was a huge success. This year we held 2 symposiums. The first was held in November, which made powerful connections between the vulnerabilities of individuals with disabilities to being trafficked. In April, we hosted a symposium entitled Human Trafficking and the Opioid Epidemic, a Compassionate Response. The intersection between aspects of society and human trafficking are never more relevant than today. During the past year, the Slavery-Free Commerce Committee hosted several public educational programs at which speakers discussed the possible presence of slavery in products such as cars, chocolate, and shrimp. The Education Committee pioneered a locker slam, which distributed more than 8,000 magnets across 40 middle and high schools throughout the state. Through the Education Committee, the coalition awarded 4 $500 scholarships to high school and college students for their work in human trafficking prevention. A few of the recipients are here today. If you could please stand, and we'll give you a round of applause. On Human Trafficking Awareness Day, our college interns hosted Breaking Free, Students Against Trafficking, which was a dynamic live broadcast. Additionally, during Advocacy Week in the state capitol, the New Jersey Coalition Against Human Trafficking was honored to be presented with the joint legislative resolution by Senator Weinberg and Assemblywoman Veneeri Huddle that noted our contribution to ending modern-day slavery and our educational efforts in particular. The dedicated work of the Legislative Committee will now be highlighted as we hear from our distinguished guests. Assemblywoman McKnight is with us today. She represents she's not here, okay. Yet. Okay. We'll come back to her. I am honored to introduce our keynote speaker. He is the educational leader for the state of New Jersey. On June 19th, 2018, Dr. Repollet was sworn in by Governor Murphy as New Jersey's Commissioner of Education. Commissioner Repollet is working to redesign the Department of Education to what he calls DOE 2.0. He is transitioning the department to become a model organization, strengthen teaching, leading, and learning, and increase educational equity for students across New Jersey. We are thankful for his leadership and look forward to working alongside him and the Department of Education to support human trafficking education in our schools. Thank you, Dr. Repollet.
Check the time. Okay, good morning. Thank you, Daniel Papa, for the wonderful introduction and for your work to combat human trafficking through your leadership with the New Jersey Coalition Against Human Trafficking and as an educator in the Jefferson Township School District. I would like to acknowledge Assemblywoman Angela McKnight, she's coming, who is passionate about the issue. She has introduced legislation to tackle human trafficking in schools. She has worked closely with Kate Lee and the Coalition's Education Committee, who are making the public aware of human trafficking. We know the issue of human trafficking affects communities as a whole. The responsibility shouldn't be just on schools. The work of the Coalition enables educators to access tools and information on the warning signs and when to alert the proper authorities if they suspect their student may be victim of trafficking. Traffickers groom vulnerable children and teens on social media websites, on chat lines, and on the streets, gaining their trust with the ultimate goal of exploiting them. Research shows that the average age of a teen victim of sex trafficking in the U.S. is 12 to 14 years old. This issue does not only affect young girls, boys are also exploited and can be trafficked as young as 11 years old. Victims of trafficking can be of any socioeconomic status, age, race, gender, or nationality. However, certain populations are more vulnerable, including youth with a history of sexual abuse, dating violence, low self-esteem, history of sexual abuse, minimal social support, runaways, homeless youth, and those who identify as LGBTQ. In 2017, New Jersey alone, the National Human Trafficking Hotline reported 161 cases of human trafficking. Of the 161, 89 were included minors. These statistics are alarming, especially to an educator like myself. But that's why the work of the Coalition is so important. The Coalition's Locker Slam program raises awareness in schools by placing magnets on students' lockers that include empowering phrases meant to leave a lasting effect on those individuals. Those phrases such as, "People should not be for sale," "Be a voice for the voiceless," and "I am an abolitionist." I commend the middle school and high school students from Jefferson Township for Project Stay Gold for creating the Locker Slam program. The more we have conversations about this topic, the more likely we are to help potential victims. To that end, the Department of Education, our Office of Student Support Services, is launching something new. We're launching a human trafficking website on our DOE website. This page will keep current. This page will offer residents information on current legislation, resources, and sample curricula related to human trafficking. It should be up and running before the end of the summer, and I am extremely proud of our endeavors. As you know, Assemblywoman McKnight is the primary sponsor of a bill that will require our agency to develop guidelines for school districts concerning children trafficking, child trafficking awareness, and preventions. If the pending legislation passes, our agency will work closely with the Office of the Attorney General and the Department of Children and Family Services on guidelines, including risk factors and warning signs associated with child trafficking. See, as educators, we come in contact with our students on a daily basis. And this topic, I can be honest, is fairly new to me. But a father of two young ladies, girls 14 and 17, I'm not naive to know, as we talk about trafficking, there is no social barrier, socioeconomic barrier. So I'm deeply concerned about this. Normally, as educators, when we look at our students, we don't expect those individuals to be victims of human trafficking. But statistics show otherwise. So it's important that as a Department of Education, we're proactive. We become partners in this endeavor. Because I think together, as we start to establish information and guidelines for school districts to heed to those early warning signs. You know, we talk about the Department of Education a lot with social and emotional learning. We kind of held our first conference. But the one thing that I can say after, you know, really getting on this topic is that we didn't include information on human trafficking. So at our next conference, when we talk about social and emotional, we talk about building self-esteem of young men and women to make sure that they're not prey or fall victims to individuals that are ready to exploit them. So the work to eradicate trafficking doesn't just include educators and students. The coalition's hard work ensures that all members of the community are aware and feel empowered to alert the proper authorities should they suspect a student is a victim of human trafficking. I pledge as the Commissioner of Education to work with the coalition, to work with the legislators, to really inform our educators. As I stated before, we're in contact with our students 6 hours a day, 180 days of the year. As we start to look at child abuse, right? Sign of drug use. Now we need to look at signs that students are coming in, type of clothing they wear. Do you notice are they wearing the same clothing? Or if you notice that a student that normally was happy, come in and sad. We talk about the residency, the transparent, being very transparent, being very transient. Those are some of the signs that we need to take here to. So as the Commissioner of Education, not only we provide our website information, but we'll work to ensure that we continue to provide information because we're in the front lines. So thank you very much for the work that you're doing for your organization, President Daniel Papa, and thank you very much. In Survivor, I can honestly say I give you a lot of credit. You know, the fact that you're coming out here and you're going to tell your story is amazing because those individuals who may have lived in those shoes or going through those events can have someone that they can look up to and say, you know what, I was a victim, but I'm a victim no more. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I am so inspired by your words. It is so incredible to witness the abolitionist movement growing and expanding here in the state of New Jersey. Thank you for your words. Next, I'd like to introduce someone who is not a stranger to any one of us in the room. As an educator, my #1 goal is to inspire and empower students. In the role I'm in now, it's to inspire and empower teachers as well. But I believe in that power of empowerment, right? And I can honestly say that Kate Lee, who I'm introducing now, is one of the people in my life that I look at and say, I have never experienced someone empower me the way Kate has done. And I just want to thank her and welcome her. And as today, we welcome you as our Executive Director.
Thank you so much. So I am Kate Lee, the Executive Director now of the New Jersey Coalition, and I'm so very honored to have that role. But I would say the one thing that really meant the world to me was when one of the members of our operating council said, this organization feels like a family. That is exactly what we want to be. We want to be this community, this family that draws others in, that recognizes that this isn't the dark subject that people say it is and they want to walk away from it after just having a short exposure. That this is about freedom. It is something that is bright and light, and we can all find strength in working towards everyone else's freedom. So I hope that if you're at home watching this or you're at work, that you'll recognize that this is work you can do today and for the rest of your lives, we hope, until everybody is free. But actually, I'm here today to do something very important to me. The Coalition's had an extraordinary year. It really has had an amazing year. And one of the key parts of that has been involving a survivor consultant who's been with us now for over a year. I got to meet Gina for the first time last April 2018, and in that time she has become just the most incredible spokesperson, advocate. She has become a friend. She has guided our work with kindness and generosity of spirit. And I just want you to know this is the very first time that Gina is actually putting her whole name out there. That's something we tried to look after her. We wanted to protect her a little bit from, survivors need protection. This is a difficult thing to reveal and talk about the things that happen to them. But she today wants to be live streamed, to put her full name, Gina Cavallo, out there. And so it is my absolute honor to introduce Gina Cavallo to you today.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you're not expecting a TED Talk, because we'll be here for a long time. Just kidding. She was 18 years old, desperate to spread her wings and fly. She was on a mission to prove to others whose approval and love she desperately wanted that she wasn't a failure, she wasn't a problem, nor was she stupid. But what she didn't realize was that her wings were broken before she even had a chance. This is when she found herself with her clean-cut friend with whom she felt safe. But when he invited her to his home one day to hang out, he had different plans. What happens when you learn about love in the form of abuse, criticism, ridicule, rejection, bullying, and fear? When you're invisible, when you're voiceless, and that you're a failure, and that you're told that they didn't mean to hurt you, but they do it because they love you. What happens when you have learning disabilities that were not diagnosed or addressed, but ignored? How about when you're told children should be seen and not heard? Or when you're discouraged to talk by those who are supposed to love you because of how stupid they say you sound? I'm not here today to hurt anyone. That is not my intention. In fact, if anything, I've forgiven those who violated me. However, I am here to talk about how we are formed and molded through our foundation, how we are formed and molded through our environment, our school, our family, our friends, doctors, police officers, teachers, and all who are impressionable to us growing up. Betrayed by doctors who failed me by telling me my unborn baby was tissue. And since I was sheltered and no one educated me about the facts of life, I believed him, later only to find out I took an innocent life. Hospitals never recognizing my abuse, never talking directly to me, asking me if I was safe, or what was happening, or if I was hungry, just medicating me, not getting to the core of the issues. Police failing me when I thought I was safe, but instead raped me and released me back to my trafficker. People who I thought wanted to help me, who I thought were my friends, turned out to be my abductors, changing my identity, putting a price tag on me, and selling me like commodity. What happens when you just want to die? You just have no desire to breathe another breath. What happens when all you are left with are police reports, wrongful medical diagnosis, shame, fear, guilt? When everyone is convinced that the problem is you, and they want others to see you in the same light that they see you. But then you come to learn that you are the victim of abduction, the victim of abuse, sexual assault, and human trafficking, along with beatings, addicted to drugs, alcohol, and just not wanting to live. What happens when you realize that no one will believe you, that no one wants to talk about it, when you're left with shame and guilt and fear? After escaping my abductors and making it back home by nothing less than a miracle, I saw my life flash before me. I knew my life was out of control. The stage was set for me growing up. The stage was set for me growing up. Realizing I had a drug addiction and alcohol, I went for help. I went and worked the program from detox to Mrs. Wilson's halfway house in Morristown, New Jersey, to community living in Sterling. Attended meetings, did my inventory, but not a deep inventory, since I had buried my past due to shame and fear that held me in visible chains. In 2016, I attended a recovery group at Emergence Church in Totowa, New Jersey. I offered to make coffee for their meetings, where my son-in-law, Phil, was launching a new ministry called Redemption Recovery, also known as Celebrate Recovery. Soon I was invited to a 12-step study group, which I honestly didn't believe I needed. After all, I believed nothing was wrong with me since I had overcome my drug and alcohol addiction. I gave it a try, though, and little did I know this is where my journey to recovery would begin. It was a safe place to provide hope and healing from the brokenness of life. I once heard it said, if you don't heal what hurt you, you will bleed on other people who didn't cut you. I was causing havoc in relationships and didn't even realize it. The meetings at Emergence provided a safe place for me to do a 12-step study. It was a faith-based program, giving me the opportunity to be honest, to go deep into my inventory, to search for my character defects. It was a very painful time, but yet rewarding. The floodgates released, and I knew I needed to get into counseling. I began to find hope. I began to find true friends through the support of this journey. I learned I had to face all the events of my past. I learned that the abuse of my past was not my fault, but how I responded was destructive. I learned to take responsibility for my choices. I am no longer a slave to what others say of me. I am free, and now I live a full life that's felt. I'm not afraid to feel the pain, the hurt, and disappointments of my life. In turn, this allows me to feel deep freedom of joy, of peace, of growth. God took all my broken pieces of my life and turned them around so that I could trust others and that I could learn to love and receive love in healthy ways. My life has taken unexpected turns. The Lord has blessed me by being able to share my story and work with the New Jersey Coalition Against Human Trafficking as their consultant, speaker, and advocate to help others through educating the public schools, the children, the families, advocating for change laws and bringing awareness and bringing hope. Almost 2 years ago, I had a prayer to meet one survivor. I just wanted to meet one. Then one Sunday at church, our pastor, Ryan Batesel, was sharing the sermon, and he spoke about Justice Network and the New Jersey Coalition Against Human Trafficking. I was shocked, because people just don't want to talk about it. Nevertheless, a pastor up there talking about it. It was so surreal. I was just trying to process it. I was given a name to reach out to Suzanne Panzica. Suzanne put me in touch with Kate Lee. Today is a celebration of an amazing year for the coalition. And for me, it's a celebration of completing over a year working for the coalition, talking about this deep, dark secret that I was filled with shame and fear that I buried for decades. In April of 2018, I first shared my story with you all, and you all welcomed me with warmth and love and compassion, which was still surreal and hard to receive. What you did not know about me was that my prayer was to meet another survivor. And through my work and involvement with the coalition over this past year, I've met hundreds of survivors today. My prayer was answered, that have become family, as you have. Over this past year, I've truly found my voice, a voice that was silenced through fear and shame for so many years, and the coalition has given me the opportunity to use it. With your support, I've been to leadership trainings, educated schools and community groups, and given testimonies in Trenton and throughout New Jersey, all in just a year. After hearing my story, many more survivors are coming forward, and I am walking alongside them as their mentor. It is so important to celebrate the passing of schools information legislation with the Commissioner of Education, Dr. Repollet, here today, because as a survivor born and raised in New Jersey, I can tell you that had I had this information growing up, in school or at home, I would not have become victimized as a young, impressionable 18-year-old. If this legislation prevents just one child from becoming a victim, it will have saved them from experiencing the unimaginable, and it will have been worth it. With prevention, we can never know who didn't become a victim. We can never know who didn't suffer PTSD for the rest of their lives. But with understanding about the risk to so many of our children, we should be able to realize that this legislation is critical at helping to end the trafficking of minors in our state and in other states. I am humbled and grateful to God. He is who I'm humbled and grateful for. He is my number one. For speaking to my pastor's heart to have that tough conversation about human trafficking, because through him I found the New Jersey Coalition Against Human Trafficking. Through him, I found SOAP, Teresa Flores, working endless hours nationwide, putting soap in hotel rooms, talking about her tough and painful story. Through him, I went to retreats that she provides for survivors where we can find healing, where we can find strength and support and refuel while on this journey, along with organizations like Unitas, Lamont, Todd, Tonya, who work across state lines to help bring education to our children and to support other survivors. We thank you, and I thank you. We stand together with the New Jersey Coalition Against Human Trafficking. No one can do it alone. We all need each other, regardless. I have seen the coalition work tirelessly with a passion, making a difference, trying to save every child because every child matters. We stand together supporting one another, regardless where we live. Neither counties nor states could separate us. We are in this together. On behalf of all survivors, we thank you, the New Jersey Coalition Against Human Trafficking, for empowering us to have our voices be heard, for advocating for our brothers and sisters who are still out there. Although my story is filled with broken pieces and ugly truths, and it's also filled with major comebacks, peace in my soul, and a grace that saved my life, I am looking forward and grateful to be working alongside each and every one of you. Danny Papa, you've been such an inspiration. Susan Panzica, Kate Lee, I don't like mentioning names. I don't want to, but every one of you, Claire, Tanya, Ingrid, Diana, Alina, Department of Education, Commissioner, my son-in-law, Philip Rocco, my pastor, Ryan Batesel from Emergence. They're all intricate parts that were part of this piece of the puzzle that was meant, that brought me here today. I am looking forward to continuing to work alongside of the New Jersey Coalition Against Human Trafficking for another successful year, bringing awareness, making a difference, and joining together with each other, because no one's in this lane by themselves. We need to cross over. It's not about one person. It's not about one survivor. It's not about one organization. It's about all of us. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, Gina. We are so honored to have you a part of our coalition and our work. Thank you. Now we're going to move into the section of our agenda where we're going to talk about current and future initiatives. First, we'd like to highlight the National Council of Jewish Women from Essex County section, their poster campaign, and I'd like to call up Sherry Trugman and Carol Cohen.
Good morning. I'm Sherry Trugman.
Carol Cohen.
Okay. The National Council of Jewish Women, Essex County Section, Anti-Human Trafficking Committee was formed 4 years ago with the purpose of raising awareness of sex trafficking. NCJW is a grassroots organization that strives for social justice by improving the quality of life for women, children, and families.
Initially, we ran a very successful panel discussion on the signs of trafficking and what can be done to combat the problem. Last year, we launched a project where we went to the various police departments in the area and presented them with a packet of information, including the red flag signs of trafficking. There was additional information on where they could obtain training and how to recognize and help victims of trafficking. On April 15th, we launched our poster project. The committee devised a series of posters in English and Spanish with information on the national hotline number to help people report trafficking or to help the victims of trafficking. Our committee has started going to colleges and businesses in the area and asking them to put up posters. The posters have a tear-off on the bottom. You can see that there. Which can be torn off if somebody is the victim of trafficking or if they know somebody that they can then call the hotline number. We have been fanning out in Essex and Union County distributing our signs, and I hope you will see them throughout the area. In addition, the Morris section of National Council has been distributing signs, and starting in September, the Bergen section is also launching their own campaign with our posters, and we look forward to a very successful campaign. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry and Carol. Next, I'd like to call up Suzanne Panzica. She is the co-chair of our Speakers Bureau and a Board of Trustee member, and she is going to talk about Doing Money, the film screening on July 23rd. Thank you.
A few months ago, I, as part of the Speakers Bureau, was a panelist for the showing of Doing Money at Rutgers in Newark. And I was very impacted by this film. It's produced by the BBC, who ran a week-long, I believe, campaign about modern-day slavery. And this is a fact-based drama. It's very gritty, but not gruesome. But it's haunting. It's very emotional, and I highly recommend coming to see it. It's the story of a girl who was abducted, a Romanian girl abducted on the streets of London and then trafficked in Ireland and Northern Ireland. It has a great cast. Alan Leach from Downton Abbey is one of the police officers. But the great thing about this movie is it shows the issues with law enforcement, of how difficult it is to actually apprehend and prosecute traffickers. It shows it from the victim's point of view. It's really a very well done thriller of a movie, and so I hope that you will come, not just to see the movie, but we will also have a panel discussion afterwards to talk about the different elements that are in the movie. So mark your calendars, Tuesday, July 23rd, and we hope to see you there.
Thank you, Susan. Next, I'd like to call up Bob Bohnberg. He is the co-chair of the Slave-Free Commerce Committee, as well as the general counsel for our Board of Trustees. He's going to talk a little bit about his forum on modern-day slavery at Seton Hall University. Bob?
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. So yes, September 27th, Seton Hall University, all day long, the 2019 Forum on Modern Slavery, 21st Century Solutions. We're going to be looking at all aspects of modern slavery, international, national, and our keynote speaker will be Nadia Murad, who folks may remember won the Nobel Peace Prize, or was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. She was a member of the Yazidi people in Iraq. She was captured by ISIS, trafficked by ISIS, escaped, and now has become a human rights advocate. I think she's clearly well worth listening to, and I hope that everyone can come. We've just got out the save the date poster. I'm sure we'll be sending it all and sending further information. We'll probably have registration open up in about 3 weeks for the event. September 27th, Seton Hall University, South Orange, New Jersey. Hope you all can come. And while I've got the mic, as chair of the Slave-Free Commerce Committee, we work with different groups, one of which is the Slave-Free Car Campaign. The Slave-Free Car Campaign is focused on ensuring that slave-made parts and elements are not in automobiles that are sold to us. At a table back there are stacks of postcards. We send them out every week to the CEOs of Ford, General Motors, and Fiat Chrysler. If you would be willing to sign one, we'll take care of the mailing. So thank you very much. And one last thing, and I'll turn it back over to you, is I was reading an interview today with the woman, an actress, who uses a wheelchair, who won the Tony Award a couple of days ago. And she said, everything is impossible until you do it. And for us here, it can look that way in the work that we do, but I do believe that we are the generation that will end slavery. So thank you.
I'd like to share for a minute about our vision for Locker Slam 2.0 for next January in 2020. It's unbelievable, 2020, right? Right around the corner. So our Locker Slam, as I highlighted earlier, was a huge success this past year, and we are looking to now get it to the next level. So I want to thank everyone in the room who called local schools, teachers, students, encouraged them to participate in our Locker Slam. Thank you for your effort. We are going to, for this next year, we are looking to print even more magnets and engage even more schools. So if we could double our numbers, that would be, that's really our goal. So if we can have 16,000 magnets in 80 schools across the state, that would be incredible. We believe that education is far more than awareness. Education is prevention. If we want to prevent human trafficking, we will educate our young people about the risk factors and the warning signs. When they are educated of what to look out for, not only for themselves, but also for their friends, their family members, their classmates, that is how we can end human trafficking here in the state of New Jersey and beyond. Along with the Locker Slam, one of our educators had a brilliant idea of putting together a video contest where we'll have middle school and high school students submit a video documentary raising awareness, very much along the lines of what Project Stay Gold students did in the past. And we'll have a video contest where we'll accept videos from students across the state, and we'll have a number of videos to choose from, and we'll have some sort of contest and an award and so on in the end. But again, we're just looking for innovative and creative ways to engage students and teachers across the state of New Jersey. So we're looking to get Locker Slam to the next level, as well as launch a video competition to raise awareness. So thank you for all of your support regarding that. So at this time, we're going to move into the business section of our meeting, of our annual meeting. And I'd like to call up Bob Bohnberg again. He is our general counsel for the Board of Trustees. And as he is coming up, I want to take a minute to honor him, as well as Miriam Lefkowitz, if you could please stand. They have invested hours and hours into revising our bylaws. The goal of our board is to create a sustainable coalition. We want our work to endure for years to come. We want what we're doing here today to establish a strong foundation for abolitionists across the state of New Jersey and beyond. So with that said, I would like to call up Bob Bohnberg, who will lead us now through the business portion of our meeting.
You guys look familiar. Okay, we have a quorum of voting members of the coalition, and we have two different things to be voting on today. The first thing, which we'll do by voice vote, is the adoption of a new set of bylaws called the Amended and Restated Bylaws, which have been distributed. So I would be interested if someone would like to make a motion to approve the bylaws that have been submitted and circulated. Thank you. And is there a second? All right. Is there discussion on the proposed amended and restated bylaws? Anything anyone wants to say? All right. right, I see no people who are interested in discussing this further. So I will call the question. All those who are in favor of the adoption of the amended and restated bylaws as circulated to the membership, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Congratulations on your new bylaws. The second thing we're going to do, and we're going to have people collecting ballots. This will be done by a ballot, which is the election of the Board of Trustees under the new bylaws. There's been a slate that's been recommended by the nominating committee and by the board that's been to you, the members. I hope if anyone here is a voting member and does not have a ballot, please let us know and we will get you a ballot so that you can vote. The ballot will be, you don't have to sign the ballot, you just have to check off the people that you're in favor of. And so what I would like to do first is to have someone make a motion to receive a nomination, the slate that was recommended by the nominating committee and by the board, so that we can, and is there a second on that? Fine, thank you. Is there any discussion on the slate that has been recommended, which you all have in front of you on your ballot? Is there anything anyone else wants to say about anyone else to consider for nomination or anything else in terms of discussion with respect to this election? Having heard none one, is there a motion to close the nominations? And second, all favor? Okay, the nominations haven't been closed. We can proceed to voting. Please fill out your ballots. You all have one like this, and they will be collected. The results will be announced at the end of the meeting because obviously they have to be tabulated. So who is collecting? You can fold them in half. So if you wish, you don't have to sign them. It's anonymous. And may I, Susan, give mine to you? Thank you. Are there any other matters that people want to bring up as part of the formal business of the coalition right now? Thank you very much. I'm sure there's other things we'll be doing, and we'll be announcing the new board as soon as the results are tabulated, which I don't think will be too long. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. As the votes are being counted, I would like to mention that our Vice President, Susan Nayer, had recently received the National Council of Jewish Women's highest honor award, the Hannah G. Solomon Award, which is presented annually to women who have helped to change and expand the role of other women in vital areas of community life and whose leadership has motivated others to fight for change. I can't think of a better person to receive that honor than Susan Nayer, so congratulations. I'd like to introduce Miriam Haynes while the votes are being counted. She is going to review our budget for the next fiscal year. She is a newly appointed member of our board as treasurer. With over 30 years of experience in the banking industry, she strengthens the board with distinguished competencies in financial management, accounting, planning, budgeting, and financial reporting. We are so honored to have you, Miriam Haynes.
Good morning. I have a pretty easy job this year with all the successes. So the past year, the 2018-2019 fiscal year, as you heard Danny speak, Kate speak, Susan, We delivered legislative successes, Locker Slam, student assemblies, SOAP, Speakers Bureau, healthcare and slave-free commerce programs while keeping our spending under control. We increased the survivor speaking engagements to reach a larger number of people. You heard Gina talk a lot about all the working alongside the coalition. Our annual fund exceeded expectations, but we did fall short on sponsorships and grants. Traffic Slam was a phenomenal success, and we netted almost $10,000. That's like huge for this coalition. Thanks to Traffic Slam and all of you in the room, we exceeded our net revenue goals by about $2,500 this year while meeting our budgeted expenses, resulting in an expected surplus for the year. We were able to achieve by closely managing our administrative costs and being flexible to redirect costs when we could, where we could deliver the most impact. So as new programs come up, the board takes a look at them, and if we think that they're going to impact folks, we will redirect those funds. Our current bank balance is about $32,000, including $5,000 in savings. So we are ending the year, we're projected to end the year in really good shape. Next year, for the 2019-2020 fiscal year, all these successes position us for a year of continued growth, so that we can continue to deliver meaningful programs and impact legislation. The budget is a culmination of meetings that were held with each committee to create a wish list. And then our net revenues budgeted to increase to $40,000 next year, a 33% increase. This year, we're up 30% over last year. So a little aggressive, but I know we can do it. We have a balanced budget with a surplus that's available for programming if the board and operating council chooses, and we're keeping our administrative costs flat while we're increasing our programming costs, which is exactly what we want to do to accomplish our mission. So overall, we've had a great year. It's so easy to be the treasurer of this organization when you have such a great year. And I think while we have a lot of work to do, we are really poised to succeed. Thank you.
8 years ago, when I first began working with my students to raise awareness about human trafficking in schools, one of our ultimate dreams as a teacher and students together was to see human trafficking education come to our schools throughout the state of New Jersey. I am so pleased to introduce Assemblywoman Angela McKnight. Assemblywoman, you have made our dreams come true. Assemblywoman McKnight is the Vice Chair of the Women and Children Committee in the State Assembly, and she is the author of Assembly Bill 1428. She is here today to tell you the story behind the bill, and we are so honored to have her. Assemblywoman, thank you for being with us today.
Good morning. Well, first I want to apologize for my tardiness. I came from Trenton and the traffic, but I made it, and you all are here, so I'm happy to be here with you all today. Thank you to the New Jersey Coalition Against Human Trafficking for allowing me to speak at your annual meeting today. Human trafficking is a $150 billion industry affecting 25 million men, women, and children around the world. The majority of victims are women and girls. As of 2018, the National Human Trafficking Hotline received 189 calls that referenced New Jersey, and 98 human trafficking cases were reported. Child trafficking is an issue some students face every day without their peers or teachers knowing. A constituent in my district brought it to my attention that a child was being trafficked while attending school in Jersey City. As a result, I was compelled to introduce a piece of legislation, A1428, which requires the Department of Education to develop guidelines for school districts concerning child trafficking, awareness, and prevention. The bill was introduced as a pilot program, but after working with the Department of Education and advocates, including the New Jersey Coalition Against Human Trafficking, we thought it would be best that an across-the-board mandate for all schools to be taught this. Teachers see and interact with students on a regular basis, so do classmates. If they know what to look for, they can be instrumental in identifying victims and alerting law enforcement. Child trafficking victims are often hidden in plain sight. Training teachers, staff, and students to recognize the red flags can help identify potential victims in need of help. Child trafficking victims experience severe physical and emotional trauma that can follow them well into their adult years. New Jersey's location makes it vulnerable to human trafficking due to ports, airports, highways, and rail systems. The modes of transportation allows traffickers to move their victims frequently. The state's proximity to New York City and Philadelphia only adds to this for child falling prey to a trafficker. Our state has taken steps to help combat human trafficking with other pieces of legislation, including providing funding to the Commission of Human Trafficking and the connection between human trafficking and massage parlors. But our work is far from over. Providing funding to key programs to prevent human trafficking and treatment for victims is another mechanism the state must look at. I remain committed to fighting against human trafficking, and I will always stand up for victims' rights. Once again, thank you to Kate Lee and New Jersey Coalition Against Human Trafficking, and I look forward to continuing the work here in New Jersey. And I just want everyone to know, if you know of a piece of legislation that I can do, that I can introduce, that I can support, I want you to reach out to my office to let me know. We are our children providers. We are our children protectors. So we have to do everything in our power to protect our children. They are our future leaders of today and of tomorrow. So I thank you for allowing me to be here. I am going to continue to advocate for 1428. Right now, it is headed to the governor's office. So I have an action for all of you. I want all of you to reach out to Governor Murphy's office and say that I support 1428, and I need for you to sign this bill into law so that we can train our staff, we can train more students, we can train the teachers so that we can protect our children. So thank you again for allowing me to be here today, and as I stated before, I will continue to be an advocate for our, you have something over there? Can I read that to everyone, please? This is off cue, but thank you so much. So the number is for National Human Trafficking Hotline, 888. Oh, there's the governor. Here we go. Please call the governor. Call of action, 609-292-6000. And you ask him to sign 1428. So thank you again, and I look forward to continuing the work with all of you here today.
Thank you, Assemblywoman. Your work in the Assembly is going to make a huge impact on students throughout our state. Thank you. Bob, are the results in? All right. Here once again is Bob Bohnberg.
Thank you. 42 voting members have voted. The results were tabulated by Susan Waldman, chair of the nominating committee, and Susan Penzica is the secretary of the coalition. The 42 people cast their votes, and the slates that was recommended to you was approved and elected in by all of you. So Danny Papa, Susan Nair, and Susan Penzica will be serving a one-year term. Aldina Hovde, Miriam Hames, and Sister Mary Beth Lloyd will be serving a 2-year term. And Ingrid Johnson, Ellie Lynch, and Gina Cavallo will be serving a 3-year term. And that, the reason we have, as you know, these limited terms is we're staggering the board so that people won't all come up for election at the same time. We'll be rotating through. So you get to do this all again next year. And so I'm sure you're going to want to mark your calendars. And I could feel the excitement already beginning to build. And thank you very much. And you have a new board. And I look forward to working with them. Thank you.
So it's my honor to be able to close this meeting today, but with a very special thank you to our amazing guest speakers today, Assemblywoman McKnight. As a committee, it's been an honor to work with you in your office, for your very compassionate conversations with us, and willingness to collaborate. And I think the coalition is an organization that just wishes to collaborate. We want to do all we can to work with our departments to ensure federal funding comes where it should. There is money there, and we want to make sure it gets to our departments, therefore to our organizations, hopefully into our schools. We're also very honored today to have members of UNITAS here. I'm sure you'll want to have a conversation with Assemblywoman McKnight. Please stand from UNITAS. These are extraordinary human beings who are working diligently to bring new curricula. I think that New York City schools are going to be the lucky first recipients of a curricula that we've seen, and we've had piloted as well in New Jersey in Jefferson Township schools. So we know that it's an extraordinary curriculum, and maybe with some funding to the state, that could be something that comes to us as well. But really, it's all of you here today that really make the difference. So there are so many committees, and we've had an amazing, we feel like Gina herself is another committee. You are another whole entity, so we thank you for sharing, for speaking today. We thank to everybody who is running committees. You are your own little areas. Healthcare, I'm looking at you here today. You run extraordinary programs that we urge anyone in healthcare to please go on our website, or anyone in education, go on our website. There is a way just to show your interest. Click on the joining form and say where you want to join. If you're not an educator and you're not a healthcare professional, there are places for you. Legislative Committee will be happy to have you. We will be doing Soap Up in Bergen County in March of next year. So if you live in Bergen County, please get involved with that extraordinary program. But there are many ways to get involved. Of course, we have to do a little bit of fundraising. It never sounds fun, but I can tell you, with us, it's really fun. Our Traffic Slam program was just extraordinary. It's now become a Freedom Gala. So next year, look forward to your Freedom Gala. And so stay with us. This is a great family to be a part of. We are so happy to have you in this family. And I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful year, and a lifetime of fighting for freedom. Thank you.